As promised, I'm now delighted to be able to read to you Mike's eulogy for Hazel, written by himself and the family as a summary of her life. Please do download the document that you will also find on our website, because it contains some lovely photos of Hazel that sum her up in different points of her life. Hazel was born on the 7th of February 1931 at New Barn Farm near Alton. Her parents, having moved from Somerset in the early 1930s when farming became difficult, found moving nearer London resulted in slightly better returns to be made from the cows and the milk ground. Hazel grew up on Scaife Farm, Alton, where the family ran a small dairy, a shop, and the first ever UK milk bar called Meadow Dairy. Hazel's father, Walter, died when she was quite young, leaving her mother, Muriel, and sister June to run the farm, and Hazel to run the shop and milk bar. Hazel attended Eggers Grammar School in Alton before going on to Southampton Technical College to take a course in baking and confectionery. She was so dedicated and keen that she would cycle the round trip from Alton to Southampton. Her interest in cooking was probably stimulated by the contact she had with her many French friends who stayed with the family after the war. This led to a great admiration of the French cuisine and way of life. Many people will know Hazel through her association with the Young Farmers Club movement in the country, which goes back to 1946, when the Alton Club reformed after the war. Hazel joined as a junior member and took part in many activities ranging from quizzes and public speaking to pig judging. In 1955, through the Young Farmers Club, she was fortunate in having the opportunity to embark on the International Farm Experience Exchange Programme. Hazel spent 6 months in the United States, living and working with farming families in Wisconsin and California, and she kept in touch with all of them. It was an experience she cherished throughout her life, and she always had a soft spot for American farming families. Many years later, Hazel attended the World IFYE Conference in Washington, D.C. In 1961, Hazel married Michael Wilson of Lieway Farm, Ropley, at St Peter's Church, Ropley. They had 5 children: Caroline, who lives in Sydney; Peter, who now runs Lieway Farm; Susan and Richard, who live in Wokingham and Reading respectively; and David, who is in Bristol. They have 12 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. Her children have many fond memories of trips out to deliver meals on wheels, to Botley Flour Mill as Hazel baked all her own bread, blackberrying to make pies and crumbles, picking elderflowers to ferment elderflower champagne with the odd demijohn exploding next to the Arga, to a local farm to buy trays of cracked egg to bake gâteaux, which she sold locally. After moving in 1995 to Wych Elms, Ropley, Hazel travelled extensively around the world and particularly loved the Tamworth Country Music Festival in Australia, which she attended many times. Hazel was a pillar of village and community life in Ropley. During the 1970s, she was one of the farmers' wives of Ropley who organised and ran an annual post-harvest dinner in the village hall. This was always very well supported, with the proceeds going to charity. She was elected to Ropley Parish Council for 12 years, including acting as chair from 1976 to 1980 and again in 1984. For many years, she was an instructor and examiner for the National Cycling Proficiency Scheme. Many children benefited from her experience as she went to most of the schools in North East Hampshire. As a Women's Institute judge until she reached the age of 75, Hazel was always in demand to perform cookery demonstrations in the area and was often judging at big country show events such as the New Forest County Show, as well as our local horticultural shows. A keen cook throughout her life, she was renowned for hosting amazing dinner parties, producing imaginative, memorable and delicious feasts. Gardening and flower arranging were also an important part of Hazel's life. For many years, she helped arrange the flowers for church services. Hazel was a keen member of Ropley Wine Appreciation Group and was always very good at identifying the wines and their different grape varieties. Weekly walks with her Ropley Walking Group were the highlight of Hazel's week for many years. Latterly, she helped cook for a homeless charity in Winchester and was still doing this until she was admitted to hospital. She was a campaigner and supporter of the Church Restoration Project at St Peter's. Hazel was involved in so many local fundraising events. She was always helping people, had a smile on her face, and loved being part of Ropley village life. Hazel was such a wonderful, kind, intelligent, busy and hospitable person. She was caring and thoughtful, charitable and had time for everyone. It was such a pleasure to be in her company. She was easy to talk to, so vibrant, and had many a topical or funny story to tell, and was always ready to give advice. As one of her grandchildren said recently, Hazel lived from her heart, expressing love by caring for everyone so deeply. She always knew what you needed before you knew it yourself. She will be desperately missed by everyone who knew and loved her, but we shall always cherish our many happy memories of this incredible lady who lived life to the full. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest. May she rest in peace and rise in glory.